Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist who believed that the human mind has two layers: the conscious mind, which is everything we are aware of, and the unconscious mind, which holds the thoughts, emotions, and memories we push away. Deep within that unconscious lies what Jung called the shadow, the hidden side of ourselves. We suppress these parts because, at some point, we learned they weren't acceptable. Maybe we were told to stay quiet, to behave, or to stop showing our emotions, so we buried anything that didn't seem to fit. But Jung believed that if we truly want to understand who we are, we have to stop running from these hidden parts and start listening to them. Your shadow is not just the darkness you try to hide. It also carries your unrealized potential, your creativity, your voice, your courage, your power, and even the clues to your true calling. Jung's teachings, often called Jungian Philosophy, appear in many of his books, such as The Psychology of the Unconscious, Man and His Symbols, The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, Modern Man in Search of a Soul, and Memories, Dreams, and Thoughts. In this video, we'll explore 7 shadow clues that reveal your true purpose. 1. Feeling stuck, numb, or disconnected. Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." Sometimes life moves forward, but the heart stays still. Everything looks fine on the outside, the job, the routine, the conversations, yet something feels flat. This isn't laziness or lack of motivation. It's a quiet signal that something deeper inside you isn't being lived. Jung believed this emptiness appears when there's a gap between who we truly are and how we're actually living. When our daily life stops reflecting our truth, our inner world pulls back its energy. What looks like resistance, boredom, or fatigue is often the self whispering, "This no longer fits." The shadow begins to stir during these moments. And remember, the shadow doesn't only hold our fears or past pain, it also holds the best parts of us that we pushed away: our confidence, creativity, curiosity, and joy. These natural qualities often get buried as we grow up. As children, we laughed loudly, asked questions, dreamed freely, and expressed ourselves without fear. But slowly, we learned which parts of us were acceptable and which ones were not. The curious child is told to stop asking so many questions. The expressive one is told not to make a scene. The sensitive one is told to toughen up. So we start hiding those natural parts of ourselves just to feel safe and accepted. The outspoken child becomes careful. The dreamer becomes practical. The gentle one becomes guarded. Bit by bit, our light gets tucked away. Not because it's wrong, but because it didn't feel safe to show. But what we buried doesn't disappear. Those parts wait quietly beneath the surface, calling out through the very feelings we try to avoid: boredom, restlessness, or the uncomfortable sense that something is missing, even when life looks fine. Sometimes it shows up as a longing for something more. Maybe it's an old hobby you miss, a thought that keeps coming back, or a dream that refuses to fade. These are not random urges, they're messages from the shadow, reminding you of what still wants to live within you. For example, someone who once loved storytelling might have given it up because it didn't seem practical. Years later, they may feel deeply moved by a book or film, experiencing both inspiration and sadness. That feeling isn't emptiness, it's their creative spirit asking to be remembered. Another person who learned to stay quiet may feel invisible as an adult. The discomfort they feel when others speak boldly is not resentment. It's a reminder that their own voice is still inside them, waiting to be used. These moments are gentle invitations to reconnect. You don't have to start big. Write a few lines. Sing again. Share one honest thought. Take one small action that feels true. Every small step gives your hidden parts more room to breathe. And when you begin to reclaim these parts, life starts to move again. The dullness fades, energy returns, and things feel real once more. Jung called this process individuation, becoming whole by bringing every part of yourself into the light. The gifts you've hidden in your shadow aren't gone. They've simply been waiting for you to notice them. 2. Strong reaction to someone else's behavior. Jung famously said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Think about the last time someone really bothered you. Maybe it was a coworker who kept talking about their success, a friend who seemed naturally confident, or someone online whose achievements made you feel uneasy. That sudden flash of irritation, envy, or discomfort isn't random. It's your shadow speaking. When another person's behavior triggers a strong emotion, it's often not truly about them. It's a mirror reflecting something inside you that you haven't fully accepted. Jung called this projection, when we unconsciously notice in others the very traits we've pushed away in ourselves. These mirrors show up everywhere, in our workplaces, in our relationships, and even in our social media feeds. You might see someone speak boldly and think, "They're so arrogant," when deep down you wish you had that same confidence. Or you may judge someone for taking a big risk and think, "That's reckless," while another part of you secretly longs for more freedom and adventure. Projection doesn't always show up as irritation. Sometimes it appears as deep admiration. When you're inspired by someone's creativity, kindness, or confidence, you might actually be seeing a hidden part of yourself, a part you haven't allowed to grow yet. The people who trigger strong emotions in us, whether through envy or admiration, often reveal the qualities we need to develop in order to feel more whole. These reactions are not signs of weakness. They are invitations to grow. So the next time someone stirs a powerful feeling inside you, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to show me about myself? Could the trait I'm judging or admiring be something I need to embrace to move closer to my real calling? Your irritation or admiration isn't the problem, it's a message. And if you follow that message, it may lead you directly to the part of yourself that's been waiting to come alive. 3. Repeating patterns or failures. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Have you ever noticed that the same kinds of situations keep showing up in your life? You change jobs, yet somehow end up feeling undervalued again. You meet new people, but the same relationship issues repeat. Or you set new goals only to lose motivation halfway through, just like before. When these patterns show up again and again, it's easy to feel unlucky or think life is simply unfair. But Jung believed that repeating patterns are not accidents. They are signals from your shadow trying to get your attention. When certain fears, needs, or truths within us are ignored, they don't disappear. They simply return through the people and situations we experience. It's as if life keeps giving us the same test until we finally learn the lesson. For example, if someone keeps ending up in jobs where they feel unseen, it might be life's way of asking them to look at why they doubt their own worth. If relationships constantly feel one-sided, maybe a part of them still struggles to value themselves. These patterns aren't meaningless. They are gentle reminders that something important inside us is waiting to be acknowledged. Imagine a person who repeatedly changes jobs, hoping the next one will finally bring appreciation. But each time, the same thing happens. They feel ignored and unimportant. One day, instead of blaming the workplace, they pause and ask, "Why does this keep happening?" Then they notice the real pattern. They often stay quiet, avoid speaking up, and hold back ideas because they fear being judged. With that moment of awareness, they begin to act differently. sharing one idea, asking for what they need, showing up more fully. It feels uncomfortable at first, but slowly they grow more confident and less dependent on others for validation. And as their inner world changes, the outer world begins to shift too. So instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" it helps to ask, "What is this trying to show me?" That is how patterns break. Once the lesson is understood, life doesn't need to repeat it. New experiences appear. Different kinds of people show up. Work and relationships begin to feel lighter and more meaningful. This is how life stops repeating and starts evolving. 4. Messages from dreams. Jung once said, "The dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul." He believed that our dreams are messages from the unconscious, quiet, symbolic ways our deeper self tries to reach us when our waking mind is too busy to listen. During the day, we're focused on logic, plans, and responsibilities. But at night, when the conscious mind relaxes, the parts of us we've ignored finally get a chance to speak. Dreams often feel strange, emotional, or symbolic because they don't use literal events. They use images, symbols, and feelings. It's our inner world speaking in its own language, showing us what we haven't been paying attention to. When life feels out of balance, when we feel stuck, restless, or disconnected, the unconscious often reflects that through dream imagery. You may dream of being trapped in a small room, lost in a maze, or missing a train. These dreams usually mirror inner feelings of limitation, confusion, or fear of missing something important. Sometimes dreams reveal what we've pushed down. You might dream about someone you're angry with but can't confront in real life. Or you may dream of a version of yourself who is more confident, creative, or free, the kind of person you secretly wish you could be. Jung believed these versions aren't fantasies. They are real parts of your psyche waiting to be brought into your waking life. Consider a simple example. Someone may be working a job that pays the bills but no longer feels meaningful. Night after night, they dream of standing on a stage, ready to speak or perform, but no sound comes out. When looked at closely, this dream could be showing that they've silenced their own voice in real life. A part of them wants to express something meaningful, but fear or practicality has convinced them it isn't possible. The dream isn't predicting the future. It's revealing what is already true. A dream about speaking might point toward communication or leadership. Dreams of painting, flying, or exploring may reflect a creative or adventurous side that is waiting to be lived. But dream interpretation doesn't have to be complicated. You can start simply. When you wake up, notice how the dream felt and write down any details that stood out: an image, a color, a symbol, a phrase. Over time, patterns start to appear, often mirroring the same hopes, struggles, and questions you face in your daily life. Jung saw dreams as an ongoing conversation between the conscious mind and the deeper self. The more attention you give them, the clearer that conversation becomes. What once felt mysterious begins to feel like real guidance, personal and meaningful. 5. Stories, movies, or characters you're drawn to. Jung said, "Archetypes are the living system of reactions and aptitudes that determine the individual's life in invisible ways." He believed that deep inside everyone are patterns that shape how we think, feel, and behave. Patterns he called archetypes. These are universal roles found in all people, no matter where they live or what time period they're from. Archetypes like the creator, the healer, the teacher, the explorer, the rebel, the caregiver, and the warrior each represent different parts of human potential. Some of these sides of us come naturally, while others stay quiet or hidden. According to Jung, our true calling often shows itself through the archetypes inside us that want to come alive, especially the ones we've ignored or pushed away. Many of these hidden roles live in the shadow. Imagine someone who has spent most of their life being responsible and practical, always choosing stability. That's the ruler or caregiver archetype. But deep inside, there might also be a longing for creativity, freedom, or adventure. Signs of the creator or explorer archetype waiting to be expressed. When this side stays buried, life can start to feel dull or repetitive, even if everything looks perfect from the outside. But once this part is allowed to show up, even in small ways, life begins to feel more alive and meaningful. You can start discovering your own archetypes by paying attention to what naturally attracts you. Think about the stories, movies, or characters you admire. They often reflect an archetype within you. If you love stories about courage, travel, and adventure, your inner explorer may be calling. If you admire people who build, create, or innovate, your creator might be asking for attention. You can also look at your recurring challenges. If you often take care of others but struggle to set boundaries, your caregiver archetype is strong, but your warrior might need more space to grow. Even your daydreams and fantasies can reveal something important. The roles you imagine yourself in, the hero, the artist, the leader, the healer, often point to a part of you that wants to be lived. To explore this more deeply, start noticing which archetypes feel natural and which ones you tend to avoid. Think about the stories, people, or symbols that move you, and ask yourself why they make you feel that way. You may discover that the purpose you've been searching for isn't out in the world. It's been inside you all along, waiting for you to recognize the patterns guiding you. 6. When life mirrors your inner world. Jung taught that synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. He used the word synchronicity to describe those strangely perfect moments in life that feel too meaningful to be random. It's when something happening in the outside world connects directly with what's happening inside you. A thought you've had, a feeling you've been carrying, or a decision you've quietly been considering. You think about someone you haven't spoken to in years, and suddenly they message you. You start wondering about a new direction in life, and then a book, video, or conversation appears that speaks exactly to that idea. Moments like these feel like life is reflecting something back at you. But Jung didn't believe these moments were just coincidences. He saw them as signs that your inner and outer worlds are beginning to align. This isn't about destiny or some magical force guiding your life. Instead, it's about awareness. When you become more in tune with your thoughts, emotions, and desires, you start noticing how the world responds to that awareness. Humans are wired to see patterns, but the patterns become meaningful when they match something inside us. For example, imagine you've been quietly unhappy in your job, but you avoid thinking about change because it feels scary. Then one day, you overhear someone talking about leaving their job to start something new. Later in the week, you meet someone working in a field you've always been curious about. You could call it just coincidence, but Jung might say it's your unconscious trying to communicate through outside events, showing you what you've been afraid to face. Synchronicities often show up at turning points, when you're becoming more honest with yourself or ready to step into something new. They're not signs you must blindly follow. They're gentle nudges reminding you to pay attention. So when something like this happens, instead of brushing it off, pause and ask yourself, what was I thinking or feeling right before this moment? Why does this stand out to me? You might not get an answer immediately, but the awareness itself is enough. Synchronicity reminds us that we're not separate from life. We're constantly interacting with it. And when these meaningful moments start appearing more often, it's usually a sign that you're getting closer to your true path. 7. Self-sabotage and avoidance. Our final Jung quote for this video is simple but powerful. What you resist persists. Jung believed that the closer we get to our true selves, the stronger our inner resistance becomes. It's one of the strange paradoxes of growth. The moment you start moving toward your calling, the shadow often pushes back. You might notice this resistance as procrastination, distraction, or sudden self-doubt, especially when you're about to do something meaningful. Maybe you finally sit down to write, but suddenly the dishes, your emails, and your phone all feel more urgent. Or you receive an exciting opportunity, and instead of saying yes, you start overthinking, second-guessing, and convincing yourself you're not ready. Jung didn't see this self-sabotage as weakness. He saw it as a kind of inner protection, a way the psyche tries to keep you safe from change. The shadow holds the parts of you that fear rejection, failure, or being seen. So when you move closer to your potential, those hidden fears come alive. Your mind subtly tries to pull you back, not to hurt you, but because it believes it's protecting you. But the truth is, safety and growth cannot exist in the same place. To step into your real calling, you must walk through discomfort and show the shadow that it's safe to outgrow old limits. Imagine you've been wanting to share your art or start a small business. You gather your ideas, feel excited for a while, then the doubts appear. What if no one cares? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? So you pause. You wait for a better time. Weeks or months pass, the spark fades. But that hesitation doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. In fact, it often means you're getting close to something important. The shadow resists most strongly when you're right at the edge of change. So when you notice yourself avoiding the very thing you say you want, pause and ask, what am I really afraid will happen if I follow through? Maybe it's the fear of being judged, of losing approval, or of discovering that you're fully capable, but now you actually have to put in the effort. Because once you try, you remove your own excuse not to show up. The naming of the fear brings light into the shadow, and once seen clearly, that fear begins to lose its control. The goal isn't to fight the shadow, but to work with it. By continuing to show up, even imperfectly, the resistance softens over time. So when hesitation appears right before something that matters, it's not a sign of failure, it's a doorway. The part of you that feels afraid is often the same part that's been waiting to be free all along. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to explore our full Philosophies for Life playlist. And for more videos that help you find success and happiness through powerful philosophical wisdom, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.